Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. It's about 4 in the afternoon, and I'm here with my grandfather, Peter Hwang.
Hi, Michael.
Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Just want to state your age and just some background
Okay.
info.
My name is Peter J. Hwang. I'm 70 years old. I was born and raised in Korea. Came to the United States in 1967. Joined the Army 1971. Got out of the Army 1976. And joined the police department after my ETS from the Army. Spent the next 26 years as a police officer. I've been retired as a police officer for 18 years. And I had some business, and I've been totally retired for about 10 years now.
Thank you. So my first question is, were you drafted in the war or did you enlist?
1971, that's after the terror offense and getting toward the end of the war, they start doing the lottery by your birthday. So if your birthday is picked, you get a number 1, 2, 3, 4. So then first pick usually go first. So my birthday was the legal birthday was March 3rd. So that year, 1970 lottery, I was like number 37. So I know I was going. So actually, I got my draft notice, and then I went in. Actually, I signed up for it after receiving the draft notice.
Now, which branch did you serve in?
U.S. Army.
And what rank were you in the Army?
I started as a private like everybody else. I got out as a sergeant.
Oh, okay. Do you want to just talk about how you worked your way up those branches? Do you want to talk about how you got your way up those ranks?
Oh, usually when you finish your basic training and you become a private, then you go to what we call AIT, Advanced Individual Training. So if you're good, you come out as a PFC. If you're average soldier, you come out as a private. Then you go to your assignment. And my assignment, I went overseas. So when I graduated AIT, I was a field artillery. I was a cannon cocker, they call. And I graduated as honor graduate, so they promoted me to private first class. So when I went overseas, I was a private first class. Then I got promoted to the corporal, which is a specialist back then, Spec 4. Then during the war, my squad leader got wounded, and I was the oldest guy in the squad, so I got what we call battlefield promotion to sergeant. So I got promoted pretty quick because of that.
Wow, that's amazing. So you mentioned training. What was that like? What was training like for you?
I took my basic training at the Fort Lewis, Washington, and training was very hard because we had hundreds of soldiers getting killed every day in Vietnam. So all our drill sergeants were combat veterans coming back from Vietnam. So they made sure we heard 1,000 times, if you don't listen, you'll be dead. And I remember when we arrived there was about 60 of us in our platoon. The drill sergeant took us there. I had a drill sergeant Ross. He was a little Irishman, sergeant first class. He took us the Fort Lewis, the airstrip where the big C-137 was coming in. Those planes were coming from Vietnam, bringing the dead bodies. So C-137 is opening from the front. I remember all 630 of us standing there, and drill sergeant took us there. Plane landed, they opened the mouth, then all this, it was a refrigerator unit. All the dead bodies were in there. It was in a casket. The fork choke goes in there and lift the caskets up, bring it out, and remember drill sergeant telling us, you don't listen to us, that's how you're gonna come back. 1 out of 3, you will come back like that. The other 2 will come back alive. So it's your choice, you listen to what we say or not. So that's a pretty scary, serious training. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Where exactly did you travel throughout the war in Vietnam?
Oh, I spent a year in Asia and a year in Europe. Actually, I was assigned to 2nd Infantry Division in Korea. When I speak Korean, back then in Vietnam, we had a Korean soldier. They were allies. South Korea was helping United States fighting against North Vietnam. So they need a linguist, language interpreter. So they sent me to Vietnam, still assigned to 2nd Infantry Division, to do some interpretation. But my MOS, what we call military occupancy specialist, my MOS is a combat MOS, so I end up helping South Korean Army calling the, South Korean Army didn't have the helicopters, air units, so they didn't know how to call. We support with all our helicopters and airstrikes, so they need somebody to speak English. So I was attached to them, and calling whenever somebody get hurt, I call the medevac helicopter for them. If they need artillery support, I was a forward observer, so I called the artillery strike for supporting the infantry units. So it was a pretty good job.
Yeah.
They took pretty good care of me because they rely a lot of stuff on me. But Korean soldiers take good care of me. Yeah. Oh, you said where I was. I was assigned in 2nd Infantry Division in Camp Casey in South Korea. We call it TDC, Dongducheon. But I was assigned TDY, we call temporary duty out to the Da Nang, which is, we call it MACV, Military Advisor Group in Vietnam, in Da Nang. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Do you remember arriving for the first time?
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
You never forget. We flew in the cargo plane C-130, and when plane lands, Sergeant will tell you, I was a corporal back then, Sergeant will tell you, okay, you have a gun, but you don't lock and load. So when plane landed, Sergeant will tell you, lock and load. Lock and load. We grab our duffel bag, door opens, and that heat coming with a fatigue on, just coming down the ramp, down to the airstrip, and we were lined up by the platoons. By the end of within 15, half an hour, we were just drip soaking wet. So hot and humid.
Wow.
Yeah, it was in July. Yeah, it was so hot and humid, unbearable. Yeah.
So was it usually like that hot throughout the?
Evening is pretty chilly. Evening is pretty chilly when it rains a lot.
So it's humid.
Yeah, and when humidity sets in, the sun goes down, chill sets in, it gets pretty cold at night.
Wow.
Yeah, but during the daytime when sun comes up, it beats you down. It'll kill you. Yeah,
I bet. Where did you stay? Where did you sleep?
We sleep in the bunkers. Yeah. Well, we go on. They go out and patrol. We call it going out to the bush. They usually go out 2-week patrol and come back and stay at the real base camp for a couple of weeks. Luckily, I was a field artillery guy, so our Rio had showers and everything else. Latrines. You know what latrine is? You know what latrine is?
Yeah.
We had actually a latrine facility when we were in Rio, but when you're out in the bush, you eat in a foxhole.
Yeah.
Hide behind the sandbags and that's where you eat. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the food like?
When you're back in base, home camp, you eat the K ration, which is the cooks actually cook hot meal for you. When you are in the bush, you eat C ration. It's a little small pack. It has a small pack of cigarettes. We have a little canned foods with franken beans, sometimes hams, cheese and crackers, little chocolate bars. Some of them, you look at the bottom, some of them are stamped in 1957.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, during the Korean War, the leftovers, yeah. So what we call seed ration. We ate a lot of seed rations out in the bush, but you eat the hot meal, K ration, when you are back at the home base. Yeah.
What was your best meal and your worst meal you had? You remember?
Well, depends on how you're hungry. You know, if you're hungry, everything tastes good. But when you're, back in the rear, they'll give you a good meal. Cooks will take good care of you. In the army, you gotta get along with 3 people. There's first sergeant. First sergeant is you take care of the whole platoon, whole company. The head guy, head enlistment, they call you first sergeant. We call him top. You get along with first sergeant. Second is supply sergeant. He's the guy who give you shirts and pants and boots, and mess sergeant. If you get along with those 3 sergeants, you got your Army career pretty good.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
What was combat like?
Not a good thing. Not a good thing. It's taking a person's life is not the easiest thing, and to be killed or to kill, so you just do it, But it's something you don't want, pound down about it, and a lot of those memories, something you want to forget about it, But war's hell, combat's hell. Yeah.
Did you make any close friendships at all?
Oh yeah. Everybody's a brother. A lot of us fly out there together. Some of them come back, some of them didn't. And it's, I was lucky. I was based in the 2nd Infantry Division, so I was going back and forth a lot. Weekends I can fly back to my home base. Then during the weekday I come back, but a lot of guys didn't have that luxury. They have to stay in their bunkers all the time, and you form big cliques. You're old enough to understand. So some guys, drinkers, they hang around with a bunch of beer and whiskey drinking guys in one group. Some guys like to smoke reefers and marijuana. They hang around one group. So racially divided also. Black troops and Hispanic troops, and I was only on Asian, so I hung with everybody,
Yeah.
So I had a lot of good friends, So I also lost a few of them too,
Now, was being Asian, did that affect you in any way?
Oh yeah, big time. Made sure I wear the U.S. Army badge.
Yeah.
So we had what we call Avons, because it's the South Vietnamese army assigned to the United States Army, called Avons. They were Vietnamese soldiers. Then we have our South Korean soldiers. They are very good soldiers. They are one of the best allies U.S. Army had. Then there's a guy like me, Korean, but assigned. I'm with the U.S. Army. But it was privileged, because Korean Army did it so good during the Vietnam War. Everybody respected it, and I got package deal. I get respected.
Do you have any memorable experiences at all?
Oh yeah, a lot of good ones and a lot of bad ones, but you gotta write a book about that, But met a lot of good friends. Still be in contact once in a while. It's a life experience.
What was your initial reaction upon hearing the war was over?
Oh, I was still in the army. I think I was in Korea or Germany. I was overseas because I spent 4 years in the overseas. 3 years in overseas and 2 years in stateside. I was in Asia and I was in Europe. I believe I was in Europe when war was over. Nixon became a president and war was over. It was actual combat was over in July of '73. We withdrew everything, and I went to Korea from there. And actual war was over 75 April, I believe. And I was in 80s when combat was over. I was in Korea. I was with the 2nd Infantry Division. I was back in home base when 73 combat was over. They withdrew most of the combat troops, and most of us who've been there, we know it was going to end soon, and we know we weren't going to win that war, and we were relieved, so happy, and it was like an empty feeling, wow, why did we do all that, what a bullshit that was, It's like all these 57,000 men, it's just dying hundreds every day, for what, is this it, And it's not like nowadays, Michael. When soldier comes home, they are welcome. When we came home, they threw tomatoes at us. They'd call us baby killers. They treat us like a garbage. It's like they were demonstrating against the war here. You see, it was a really empty feeling, and we were so mad. We're still mad. We are still mad about that. Politicians. They lied and lied and lied. While the young kids dying, it's just, you ask me about what was the combat like. You don't want to talk about that, It's nothing good about combat, nothing good about war, I don't listen to some people talk about this stuff, nobody want to talk about that who's been there, Unless you're talking to the guys who was there with you, then you can talk about the events. But you don't want to go around and tell, this is how it was, this, I don't know. I'm not, that ain't my cup of tea. Don't want to talk about that stuff. I'll talk about everything else,
What did you do afterwards? When you got home?
I ETS, or end of a term service, we call it ETS, out of the Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and 76. I spent a long time in the Army, five years. When I got out, I went back to college and looked for a job, and 79 I became a police officer. So next almost 30 years I was a police officer. And I couldn't find a job, Back then there was a lot of jobs. I mean, being in combat, I was a forward observer in a turret unit in fire direction control. We call it FDC. And didn't teach you any skill, I said, jumping out of the airplane in combat, So I flied around job to job to try this, try that, didn't like it. Then I became a police officer, and that was it. I liked it. So I think that was my 6th job in 2 years after I got out of the Army. And I became a police officer,
So how does your service affect your life to this day?
You were going to ask. It did nothing but good for me. I learned so much. When do you have a chance to live with, especially back in 70s, early 70s and 60s and 70s, if you're an average white person or Asian guy like me, when do I have a chance to live in the same barracks with the black guys and Hispanic guys, Mexican guys, Puerto Rican guys? All of a sudden you're all same. You're right in the barracks. You're all together. You eat together. You dress the same together. You're all equal. Back then it was a big deal. Now it's not a big deal, but back then it was a big deal. They were still on different bathrooms. But in military, everywhere is equal. Only thing tells you your rank. Rest is bullshit, rank talks. So that's a great experience, and I learned the discipline, you gotta have a discipline to follow through your orders, you cannot be individual, because the bullet's flying, you cannot run away. You stay with your unit and you fight until you die, until you follow the orders. That's a discipline, teach you discipline in your life. At the same time, you learn to take pain. You become very resilient, you're tough. You learn to perseverance, you learn to take bad times along with the good times, And when it's over, it's a good time, Guys with the camaraderie. It's a great experience. I cannot say war was a great experience and guys who's gone combat is great experience. I would never put my grandson like you or your sons or daughters into the situation. I would never want them to go through what my generation went through. But other aspects, the principle of it, it's a good experience in your life. You'll come ahead of everybody else. It's a very unique experience.
Just to wrap things up, what are 3 things every high schooler should know about war?
You need to I think you're 16, you can understand. I think you understand. Never trust politicians. Never. Well, that should be a third one actually. First one should be war is hell. War is hell. There's no description about war. Nothing good come out of the war. War is hell. But I said sometimes you're in combat, you kill or to be killed, so you do what you gotta do. But never cross the line. There's no gray area. Do the right thing. Never cross that line. Because you are in a war, you can do this, you can do that, you can't do that. There's still rights and wrongs. So do the right thing. Number 3, never trust politicians. Never trust them. They'll say anything to get elected. Don't trust politicians. Before you trust him, do some background, do some research on it. Okay, those are 3 things young people should know.
That's great advice. Is there anything else you want to add to the interview that we didn't discuss?
No. I did the interview because you asked me to. You're my grandson, so I'll do it. But we do this. There's a group called Vietnam. They get together. They talk about things you don't want to talk about, and those are the only time people talk. But for you, I'll do it.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was definitely a privilege.